open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Aye, 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 aye. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Aye, aye, aye.
Good morning, everyone. So as you can see and hear, today we welcome the choir from the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee under the direction of Tristan Strelister. I'm so sorry, I tried practicing your last name so many times I tongue twisted every time. The First Church Choir and the Adult Choir of UUCW have been rehearsing together for several weeks. Last week, the two choirs sang as one at First Church, and today we are fortunate to have the mega choir sing at our service. Welcome to Tristan and the First Choir members, and we're happy that you guys are here. So thank you. So for those of you who may not know me, my name is Nick Clark, and I am proud to serve on your UUCW Board of Trustees. We offer gratitude for the privilege of living and gathering on traditional territory inhabited at various times by Native peoples. We're a welcoming congregation to gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, and queer plus peoples. As an anti-racist faith community, we also acknowledge that racism throughout our society continue to lead to the violent deaths and oppression of Jews, Black, and Indigenous peoples, and other people of color. To our friends and family who are watching us virtually, I'm happy you're here as well, and hello. Wherever you are right now, whatever your age or color, whatever your gender identity, whatever your chosen beliefs, whoever you love, you are welcome here. I'll repeat that one more time. You are welcome here. Now it's time for the fun or not so fun housekeeping items. Today is a regularly scheduled religious education class. Kids will head to their assigned classes after the story of all ages. If you concentrate better while keeping your hands busy, please feel free to check out the exploration table located to my left. If you are new and would like more information or for someone to reach out to you, you can fill out the blue slip or talk to a representative at the newcomers table or go to uucw.org and look at the newcomers tab. So from today's announcements, you guys haven't looked yet, I'm going to point out a few items. You have a chance to serve on the board of trustees. The nominating committee is looking for 3 people to join our board. Please speak to a member from the nominating committee. I know a lot of people think, do I have time? Do I have the ability to serve? I am a busy father of 2 who has a full-time job, and I am on the board, and I am capable and feel accepted every single time that I'm able to join a board meeting. So come join us. We're awesome. Check out the donation rotation in the community room. This week's is books, magazine, and music. So check that out after the service. Celebrate the Earth celebrate the Earth with the Earth Ministry team after the service. Check out the display and turn in a completed Earth Promise card to receive a small, sustainable gift. And as time allows you to, please read through the rest of the announcements. And with all that now shared and received, let's settle in for this time together. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Good morning. My name is Deb Stevens. I am a member of the worship ministry team who handles the services when Rev Jill is out of the pulpit. I'm happy to be here this morning. Before we go to our call to worship, I'd like to introduce our special guest this morning. Jim Santelle spent 30 years as a prosecutor and civil litigator with the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Wisconsin, including 8 years as the United States Attorney, the Chief Federal Law Enforcement Officer for this region. He also served in Washington, D.C. and in Baghdad, Iraq, working on national and international rule of law efforts. Today, Jim continues his legal work in areas like civil rights, housing, and children's advocacy. He also teaches and hosts a weekly radio program focused on justice in America. Many of you may remember Jim from past visits to UUCW, whether for community conversations or even play readings. We're glad to welcome him back. This is his second time offering a sermon here, and today he'll be speaking on public commitments and human responsibilities. Welcome, Jim. This morning's call to worship, A Renewed Hope for This World by Nathan Ryan. Be it real or metaphor, whatever is in your backpack or your briefcase or your purse that you've brought into this sanctuary that is weighing you down, leave it behind. Whatever you are carrying that is keeping you distracted or caught up in shame or guilt or hopelessness, leave it behind. If you need it, it will be there when we're done. But for this hour, just let it go. Come into this place with open hearts. Come into this place with a soul that has remembered how to be tender again. Come into this place with a renewed hope for this world. Come into this place ready to build a world we've always been worthy of and have always dreamed of. For today's chalice lighting, join me in reading The Great Turning by Reverend Lisa Garcia Sampson. In these wild, historic, and uncertain times, we gather to remember who we are, who we belong to, and what we are called to do. As we light this chalice, we kindle the spirit of the Great Turning, the movement for justice alive in this nation today. May we feel it in our bones, and in the stillness of this hour, may we sense it calling our name. Please rise in body and your spirit as we sing Together We Are Strong. It is printed on the tan insert.
Good morning. I'd like to invite our young people forward, and if you want to grab a cushion on your way, you can do that. We just place it right up front here, where we can see some pictures that I'm going to share with you today. My name is Dave Cicero. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm the Director of Religious Education, Lifespan Religious Education here at UU Church West. Good morning to you all. So our guest today is speaking about, as he introduced the topic for today, it was about what do we do when our leaders, we feel, are not following doing what they ought to be doing. And in reflecting on that message, I looked for some children's books, but I actually found a story that was adapted from a memoir, which is an autobiography. So it's someone who wrote a book about himself, about a really great person named John Lewis. And so he wrote this book called Walking with the Wind. And the story I'm going to relate comes from this book, and it's about the wind. Wind can be challenging, right? Sometimes we struggle with the wind. We're not sure exactly how we're going to deal with it. So we'll see what happens in this story, a true story, from Mr. John Lewis, who happened to be, he served the country as a U.S. representative for many years, and he died in July of 2020. Many people were sad to lose him and thankful for all that he's done to bring about justice in our country. Well, he grew up in a large family in the South and spent much time with his aunts and uncles and siblings and cousins, many children in the area, and they would all play together. And he tells about a time when he was playing outside his aunt's house and a huge storm was on the horizon and came. Made him very afraid. There's going to be a couple times, I'm going to read from excerpt from the story. So when I say I'm not talking about myself, but I'm putting myself in Mr. Lewis's seat. So Aunt Seneva was the only adult around, and as the sky blackened and the wind grew stronger, she herded us all inside. Her house was not the biggest place around. It seemed even smaller with so many children squeezed inside. I kind of imagine it like this. It probably wasn't like that, but that's the way I imagined it. Mr. Lewis described it as small and surprisingly quiet. All the shouting and laughter that had been going on earlier outside had stopped. But now the wind was howling, and the house was starting to actually shake. We were scared. Even Aunt Seneva was scared. Now, they didn't have basements in this part of the country, right? So they're just on the ground floor, and the storm is going outside. It got worse. Now the house was beginning to sway. The wood plank flooring beneath us began to bend. And then a corner of the room started coming up. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, he said. None of us could. The storm was actually pulling the house upward into the sky with us inside of it. That's when Aunt Seneva told us to clasp hands, line up, hold our hands, she said. As we did what we were told. And she had us walk as a group toward the corner that was actually lifting up. So we all ran into that corner. From the kitchen to the front of the house we walked, the wind screaming outside, sheets of rain beating on the tin roof. Then we walked the other direction as another end of the house started lifting up. And so it went back and forth. 15 children walking with the wind, holding that trembling house down with the weight of our small bodies. Can you imagine what it might have been like to be inside that house, afraid of what was going to happen, that might fall apart? The destructive force of the wind and the rain from the whole storm, what it was going to do? I think Mr. Lewis was glad that he wasn't alone. He was there with friends and family, and they somehow worked together to survive that storm. A little later in life, Mr. Lewis wrote, he said, "More than a half century had passed since that day, and it struck me more than once over these many years that our society is not unlike the children in that house, rocked again and again by one storm and another. The walls surrounding us seem at times that they might fly apart. Eventually, the storm can settle with our work and our cooperation and our dedication." He says, "We knew another storm would come, and we might have to do it all over again," and we did. And that's something that he did his whole life. He fought for equal rights and voting rights and civil rights. He was one of the freedom riders in the 1960s. He says, "We knew we'd have to do it all over again," and we did. And we will, all of us, you and I, children holding hands, walking with the wind. So thank you for listening to Mr. Lewis's story. And Gwen has said okay to leading us out with the lantern, so I'm going to ask her to go light it. And those of you coming to religious ed classes would please come forward and follow Gwen out of the sanctuary. We'll assemble right outside the door there. And while we do that, I'll ask the rest of us to join in singing our recessional. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go.
We now enter a time of sharing of joys and sorrows that touch our individual lives, a ritual way we express how we touch and are touched by one another. In a moment, you'll be invited to come to the microphone to share your joy or concern. If you have something you'd rather not share aloud, you may use the QR code in the order of service or the share side of the blue slip to write it down. Please raise your hand if you need something to write with. For those joining us from home, and for anyone during the week ahead, you can use the link in our weekly e-news to let us know what is happening in your life and in your heart. Please remember that what is shared here today is held in confidence by those gathered in this moment. It will not appear in the posted video of the service or be included in our e-news. As you come forward to speak, I will light a candle for you. After each sharing, I invite us all to respond together. We hold you in love. And one last candle for those joys and concerns not shared, but held deep in our hearts. We hold you in love. Please remain seated for our singing meditation, Still My Soul. Listen as the choir sings the song once, and then the congregation is invited to sing along the second time through. It is printed on the purple insert.
Give me peace.
Today's reading is a prayer for the faith fires by Hilary Allen. Gracious One, keep watch on the innovators, the trailblazers, the takers of risk. Invite us to be persons of vision and integrity. Help us to remember the mystery from which possibility is born. Lead us to honor the sacred space where ministries, idealists, and realists meet. Encourage us to imagine more than just what is. Fill our hearts in times of discouragement. Keep our eyes on the long now. Through our efforts, let us know the fruits of connection and a deeper faith.
Deb, I thank you for your most generous and thoughtful introduction. I am so profoundly honored and supremely delighted to be with you today in community. What are we to do? What are we ever to do? I suspect that, like me, that is among the principal questions, not just rhetorical or even philosophical, that you and the circle of people to whom you draw near in these supremely challenging times of concern, of crisis, of calamity, of catastrophe, of disappointment, of dismay, of disgust, of delusionment, those are the questions that you ask. Those are the things that we all, as responsible human beings, ponder daily, sometimes hourly. I offer to you this morning some admittedly imperfect and unmistakably incomplete thoughts in response to that all-important question, what are we to do? Terribly thorny question, unrelentingly intractable question, all about the operations of government, the promotion of the rule of law, and the administration of justice, actually the aspiration to justice. I begin with a story, only arguably apocryphal, about the transcendent power of human agency, each and every one of you, the capacity of all of us to act, to reject, to resurrect, to re-envision, and yes, to restore. It is a story of Horatius at the bridge. It was 508 BC, and King Tarquin, Tarquin, recently deposed by his own people who cared little for his style of leadership. It was decidedly non-public oriented, overtly self-interested, and if historians are to be believed, and they are to be believed, offensive in both word and deed. King Tarquin returning home to Rome with an army of Etruscan soldiers at the ready. Rome was taken by surprise. The people who lived in the surrounding countryside fled back into the protection of the walled city, crossing a narrow wooden bridge over the Tiber River. The Etruscans were at their heels. Now safely inside the city, the Romans, in such a panic, had forgotten to destroy the bridge behind them, much to the delight of the now General Tarquin the Proud. He was thoroughly delighted to discover that he and his troops would not, after all, need to swim the Tiber to reach Rome, but merely cross the modest wooden bridge leading into it. Horatius, a young Roman soldier, called out to his friends, "Come on, we'll hold the bridge against the invading Etruscans while our countrymen chop it down." Plainly not inspired by the invitation to certain death, the friends froze, prompting Horatius alone to fight against the oncoming forces of Tarquin the Proud. Eventually, two of his fellow warriors joined Horatius in hand-to-hand battle, while other young Romans frantically sawed at the heavy cords that supported the bridge. Soon Horatius felt the bridge give away. "Go back," he shouted to his friends, and they raced over the rapidly disintegrating bridge to the protection of the walled city, Rome. Horatius then stood alone against the enemy, soldiers one by one confronting him, staving off Tarquin's troops just long enough to witness the entire bridge collapse into the tumultuous waters of the Tiber. Now, Horatius did not die, at least not then. He was no fool, and he probably sensed that the gods were with him. He jumped into the river and swam back to Rome safely, where he received a hero's welcome for his service. The Etruscan army fell back, and Tarquin was completely unable to convince his forces to follow Horatius' lead by swimming the river. The Etruscans went home, and they never came back. If only those Etruscans at our gates in this early 21st century would go home and never come back. But they are here, and we know what they look like, and we know how they behave. And so my thought this morning are organized and presented around, first, the challenges facing us, the soldiers assaulting our walled city, then the reasons to be optimistic, those enthusiastically aggressive forces, those human agents fighting back, including each and every one of you, and finally the actions available and accessible to all of you, those things we can do to saw away at the ropes of those bridges, stopping at least for a time the assaults and the affronts on our historical institutions, our sacred beliefs about the way our world and our community should be. As a former official of the federal government, of the United States Department of Justice, as an aside, not this Department of Justice, but one that existed again with starts and stops for over 3 decades of my experience there, I describe to you this morning 2 principal maladies that are inhabiting our lives and our livelihoods. There are plainly many more, and each of you is right to identify them as you will, based upon your own life experience, your own understandings of what is going on out there. Beginning on March 15th of 2025, about 13 months ago, our nation entered a genuine constitutional crisis. Now, what is such a thing? It is not when one branch of government simply disagrees with or even opposes another. That's healthy democracy. That's exchange. That's conversation. It is how our constitutional republic is supposed to work. It is instead when in contests about issues, one branch of our government simply says no to another. We're not doing what you tell us to do because we don't recognize your authority to act. A bit over a year ago, in a modest courtroom in our nation's capital, a federal judge named James Boasberg, we witnessed the first signs, the initial revelations of a constitutional crisis in our midst. It happened when Judge Boasberg, with authority to do so, directed the leaders of our executive branch, inhabiting agencies with names like Homeland Security and, yes, Justice. He directed that they return to our domestic lands a handful of large military airplanes that had shuttled some 238 people, identified for deportation, to a country called El Salvador, all without the due process commanded by our Constitution and our laws. In response, on that day, March 15th, and in the 13 months that have followed, your Justice Department has said no to the court. We're not doing that, Judge. And by the way, we're not telling you what you want to know, not answering your questions about what happened here, and not remedying what we acknowledge was action we undertook to do those things without the procedural and substantive protections and safeguards that are required of all of us. One branch of government simply refusing the lawful directives of another, a genuine constitutional crisis. That same overt refusal has also played out inside and outside other federal courthouses on occasions almost too numerous to count since March 15th of last year. King Tarquin and his Etruscan forces. The other date that I offer to you this morning is a practical and no less chilling incarnation of the threats at our gate, crossing the bridge to enter our cities that we believed were sufficiently walled to prevent an invasion. The second event that I identify for your consideration this morning happened on September 25th of 2025, when one branch of our government, your government, began to attack private citizens. It was on that date, once again, that your Department of Justice first began to charge individuals not based upon what they have done, not based upon their conduct, not premised upon their actions, but instead upon their unpopularity with the executive. Foes and adversaries in the public domain threatened with the single most dramatic thing that a government can do to any of us, citizens and residents, namely detain them, bring an end to their physical freedom, to remove them from community. It was on that date that the government first charged a person named James Comey with offenses unmistakably unsupported by facts, unjustified by the law. Allegations in a criminal indictment posing the threat, the prospect of a deprivation of his liberty, that were instead, as a legitimate, professional, experienced, nonpartisan investigators and lawyers affirmed for all of us, occasioned by authoritarianism. Now, what is that? It is, among other things, using the lawful processes of a republic like ours to attack, to stop, to restrain, to jail political foes, partisan opponents voicing their objections to policies, to practices, to official actions, behaviors protected by the concepts of free speech, and legitimate assignments of checks and balances to act under our system of divided government. In the weeks and the days and months since that first evidence of authoritarianism in our midst, appearing on the landscape of our walled city, there have been others like it, including the discreet but parallel prosecution of another government official named Letitia James, for instance. That, along with the investigations and threatened prosecutions of members of our Congress, former executive branch leaders, local officials, and past law enforcement officials. And to be clear, in those and other instances, it is the investigation that is the punishment, the retribution. It is the unfounded inquiry, the threat of criminal pursuit that is the authoritarianism. King Tarquin and the Etruscans threatening a tumultuous return to Rome. Now, all of that may have you pondering the prospect of throwing yourself off a modern bridge, not one supported by ropes, sometime after our gathering this morning. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because young Horatius, the good news this morning, is among us. He's here. He's battling mightily, and his friends are sawing at the ropes. You are those friends. In heroic and in many instances successful efforts to keep those invaders into our democracy at bay, or at least on the far side of the river. There are good and there are legitimate and even powerful reasons to be hugely optimistic, to take pride in the reactive, responsive events of the past year, many of them offered by you at UUCW and in other pursuits in your lives. I tell you now about at least 4 of those. First, federal district court judges, who are indeed today's guarantees. They're the guardrails of our republic, the safeguards of our nation. Judges like James Boasberg, and also Paula Zinnes in Maryland. She is overseeing the civil immigration actions involving Kilmar Abrego Garcia, among those 238 deported without due process to El Salvador. A federal judge named Mame Frimpong in Los Angeles, who is reaffirming for us the standards that have long stood in our nation for the detention and arrest of people on the streets of our cities. Lisa Cobb in Washington, who's also instructing us about things like the National Guard. and other ways in which law enforcement, local, state, and federal, should behave, all of them, many of them across the country, issuing orders and redirecting the on-street actions of those federal and state law enforcement officers in ways and in means that are consistent with legitimate policing practices and detention procedures born of genuine constitutional dimension and historically lawful predicates. Just this past week, 2 other federal judges stood up for more of our core nation's notions, 238 years old, all about speech and freedom of the press. One of them is named Randall Moss. He is also in the District of Columbia. He explained to us that the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and its subsidiary beneficiaries, the National Public Radio and the Public Broadcasting Service, cannot be stripped of their funding just because they may report on events, even articulate public positions that are unfavorable to the executive. Another federal district court judge just this past week, his name is Paul Friedman, he instructed us on what the First Amendment means as well in telling our Secretary of Defense for a second time in as many weeks that the Secretary's restrictions on the press liberties of journalists otherwise covering the Pentagon cannot be and will not be infringed, not in this time, not under this Constitution. Horatius at the Bridge, all of them, and others. They are joined in that spirit by the work of federal grand juries nationwide. Those court-convened groups, 23 citizens just like you, who are deciding on who should be charged in our country with federal crimes, what they should be charged with, and even how the criminal prosecutions in our nation's trial and appellate courts should proceed. Federal grand juries right here in Wisconsin, 2 of them in Milwaukee and Madison, making those all-important decisions that James Madison conferred upon them to decide about criminal prosecutions, doing their jobs to be sure, most often saying yes to government prosecutors and returning indictments on your behalf, legitimately charging individuals and companies with crimes that might otherwise compromise our safety and our very security. But with increasing frequency, those same federal grand juries nationwide, here in Wisconsin and in 92 other districts throughout our country, are saying no when it is their legitimate determination that justice does not require or demand prosecutions presented and recommended without facts, without the law, by our Justice Department. Still a few and far between, but revelatory confirmation that our system, our constitutional structure commanding that only grand juries of community members can charge people in this nation, that system works. Third, individual civil servants, mostly lawyers, yes, but not exclusively so, throughout our government, who are choosing daily one of 2 paths, either selecting to depart their offices inside government when they are asked to do things, undertake actions that are ethically infirm or even illegal, or choosing to stay in those positions, often without the public notoriety that comes from those very public departures of their colleagues, stay to fight the King Tarpons of the world and so lessen their impacts on ways seen and unseen. And fourth, finally, most importantly, it's you. You, those many public displays, those protests, those advocacies, those rallies that UUCW and all of you do in your individual and group capacities, similar to those that have been so very effective in prompting changes throughout the 238 years of our democracy. Those are not only messaging the Etruscans in our midst, but also signaling unmistakably to the others safely stationed behind the secure walls of Rome that you are not alone. That your anxieties about the assaults that have been launched and those yet to come are real and legitimate and to be honored in the words and deeds of those defending you at the bridge. Each of these federal district court judges, federal grand juries, federal civil servants, and populations of you, committed and engaged and articulate residents and citizens, appearing throughout the places of our nation, all of you are Horatius. And finally, what more to do? What more to do? What are we to do in refusing to accept the trappings of this constitutional crisis, the impacts of authoritarianism begun in March and September of last year, but continuing to this day in April of 2026? Indeed, what are we to do? What are we ever to do? How do we inhabit the body of Horatius at the gate, the psyches of his compatriots who fought back? Well, you know the answer. We ask fundamentally the same question about government, about the rule of law, about the aspiration for justice that they asked in 508 BC at the borders of Rome. That question is this: what are you prepared to do to preserve your republic, your democracy, your nation? What are you prepared to do to preserve your republic, your democracy, your nation? There are plainly, appropriately different answers for each and every one of us, and they're all legitimate, from little or nothing to everything. All of those responses that each and every one of us makes at both ends of the bridge are acceptable and entitled to our respect, dependent upon individual family issues, employment matters, academic concerns, geographic locations, social circumstances. Let me suggest that in addition to those public advocacies of this and previous months in which you have engaged, both through this wonderful institution here at UUCW and also in other venues, all of those things in previous months on the parks and the sidewalks and the other places of our nation, let me offer two additional actions that everyone can do, perhaps beyond your own selections to act. One is the promotion of, yes, civics education. In our schools, to be sure, in our academic institutions of higher learning, but also in our communities, places like this venue right here, when I've had the privilege, the great honor to appear in your fellowship hall and talk about civics, engaging with you, you engaging with me, and those fundamental understandings of how things work, explaining, describing, perhaps for some, revealing for the first time how government, embodied in part in this 238-year-old Constitution, and the thousands of laws that have been enacted by our Congress since it's first convened in the late 18th century, how all of that works. Former Associate Justice David Souter remarkably said many years ago that the single thing that he regards as the greatest threat to our democracy is not an invasion from a foreign land, from foreign place. It's not economic destruction, not even healthcare, as important as that is. He said is the thing that keeps him up at night is the failure of our nation for generations going forward to ensure that they understand the importance of civics, yes, indeed, the balance of powers, checks and balances, and all those other things that people like James Madison and George Mason wrote into our Constitution and in the many amendments passed by the Congress and by a majority of the states since that time. How it all works, he told us. That's the thing you need to do, and if you don't, that's the thing that will lead to the demise of our democracy. And doing that civics training and community examination, for what reason? As a predicate for supporting and enhancing the work of federal district court judges, of federal grand juries, of federal civil servants, and yes, of you in ways big and small who are committed to knowing the truth and the facts and the things that are real. Relying upon people in all of that civics education who know what they're talking about and on whom we've relied for 238 years to provide us with expertise and education and guidance. And here's a second one. Letters. handwritten letters, piece of paper, a pen, addressed and sent to those whose views you may oppose and would like to change through the force of your written advocacy to make that amendment. And also, no less important, letters of acknowledgement and support and appreciation to those who understand civics and are doing the all-important work that you want them to do of ensuring that our trappings of the Republic, of our Constitution, of our nation, do not vanish from our landscape. Our post office would appreciate your patronage as well. Inscribed on the front facade of the main Justice Building in Washington, D.C., on 9th and Pennsylvania Avenue are these words: "Before justice can exist in the conduct and the conscience of a government, it must first reside in the hearts and the souls of its citizens." Before justice can exist in the conduct and the conscience of a government, it must first reside in the hearts and the souls of its citizens. That's you. That's me. It is a codification 90 years ago in 1935 when that building was constructed right there in Washington, D.C., and since that time intended purposefully to be the visual and operational home of the United States Department of Justice, the only federal agency that has as its name an aspiration. Horatius at the Bridge, incarnate in the early 21st century. Now, those of you who know me well, including those of you who have listened to me in the wonderful programs and seminars to which you've invited me here in this spectacular place, know well and appreciate fully that there's no writing, there's no public set of comments by me that would be complete without my invocation of some obscure dead poet. So, no disappointment today. In his early 19th century account of the heroism that happened in the 6th century BC at the Tiber River, English poet Thomas Babington Macaulay wrote this: "Then outspoke brave Horatius, the captain of the gate, 'To every man upon this earth death comes soon or late. And how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his father and the temple of his gods?'" Like Horatius at the Bridge, may we face those fearful odds, embrace and then overcome them together in community for the ashes of those who have preceded us and for the good of the temple of justice, now and always.
Good morning. I'm Julie Toman, representing Split the Plate. As you know, each month we give half of all undesignated offerings to a nonprofit organization to address human needs and advance social justice in our community. Our Split the Plate partner for April is Citizen Action Fund of Wisconsin. The mission of Citizen Action of Wisconsin is to conduct statewide outreach to help households access federal home energy incentives created through the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA. It also works with schools and community partners across the state to advance clean energy, healthy buildings, and climate education through its Green Schools Initiative, and more. Which you'll hear about from our speaker today, representing them, who is named Kat Claus. And just so you know, she does have cats, so you're not preoccupied with that while she talks. Okay, so welcome, Kat.
Good afternoon, and thank you so very much for having me. My name is Kat Claus, and I have the amazing privilege of working with people across the state of Wisconsin and in Milwaukee to protect our people, our planet, and our pocketbook. One of the big programs that I want to talk to you about today is we are helping get the word out about grants for homeowners that insulate their homes and weatherize their homes. And a lot of people don't think about our homes as a way to protect our planet, but about 30% of our greenhouse gases come from heating and cooling our buildings. And so we're helping low and moderate income Milwaukeeans insulate their homes and get up to $10,000 for free to lower their carbon footprint. We're also working on fighting data centers. Data centers are coming here and soaking up large amounts of energy, putting out more greenhouse gases and harming our planet. If you didn't know, April 22nd is Earth Day, and I'm so glad that we have one day to celebrate the planet, but I'm here to talk about what happens the other 364 days a year. As I like to joke, there is no planet B so other things about Citizen Action, we do a lot around climate justice. We do a lot around housing justice. We help folks get access to health care, and we're working on utility burden and utility justice. If you did not know, there are 3 new natural gas plants being proposed in southeast Wisconsin, and we're fighting back against those. And last but not least, we also help with democracy and civic engagement. We help communities like yourself make sure they're being heard from our decision makers and our elected officials, and thank you.
Thanks, Kat. Your offering today, that's your offering, will help Citizen Action of Wisconsin. Or you can go to UUCW website, donate tab, and select Split the Plate from the menu, or you can text or mail your donation using the information found on the screen. Thank you for your generosity, and we'll greatly receive your offerings.
you can all help with dedicating our offering, it's in our order of service. To the work of this community, which is to ground ourselves in love and joy, and to act for inclusion and justice, we dedicate ourselves in these our offerings.
Rise in body and or spirit as we sing the hymn, "The Tide is Rising," on the white insert. Thank you to Mr. Santelle for his message today, and a special thanks to our wonderful choirs, especially our guests from the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee. And to everyone who helped make today so meaningful, we're very grateful. As Nick extinguishes our chalice today with these words by Reverend Sherry Woodbury. Let us continue to grow as citizens of our communities, our nation, and our world. Let us work to build the common good for ourselves and the generations to come. May it be so. Amen.